What's up, dude?
Hey, Russ. Good to see you.
We're starting the Russ and Russ.
I know.
Russell Cousin. Is that what it was when we were growing up? Was it Russell Cousin?
I think we referred to you as Cousin Russell.
Cousin Russell,
Yeah.
and then you were Russell Cousin?
Yeah.
Dude. Isn't that crazy that we're both named Russ?
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be some kind of backstory there that maybe I don't know. Because I remember thinking something like my parents asked your parents if they were still cool with them using your name for me.
Oh, really?
Or something like that.
So?
There was some kind of conversation at some point. Because the name Russell kind of goes back on my dad's side. But we're tied on my mom's side.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
there's like some family heritage of the name Russell that's not related to the Erbes at all.
Dude,
which is
I
kind
didn't
of
know
funny.
that.
Yeah.
That's cool. I was thinking about that too. I was like, I wonder if there was like a debate. Like, hey, because we're about the same age.
Yeah, I think you're a little older. What, were you 87 or 86?
I'm 86.
Okay, I'm 88.
You're 88.
February 88, yeah.
So I'm older, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I get that so mixed up. It's like, wait, 86, I'm young? No, I'm older.
It's a lower number.
Dude,
I'm older.
we're almost 40. I'm almost 40, man.
You're pushing it. Yeah,
Damn,
it's
right
getting
there. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Everybody's like,
good thing.
oh, your body falls apart. I was like, dude, that's when I feel like life begins. Like, really begins.
Sure.
Everything else is kind of like a headache.
Yeah, it's
You
a
know?
little bit of a prelude in a way.
So how you been, man? I think the last time I saw you, we've met before this, but when we were kids, I think Fallbrook is the last time I remember seeing you guys.
Yeah, it probably was like 99, maybe
Yeah.
98. And then I didn't see you till whatever, like a year ago. So a 20
Yeah.
plus year gap.
Damn, 20 years,
Yeah,
dude. We didn't talk to
easy.
each other. Isn't that crazy?
It is a little wild.
There's so many of us though.
Yeah.
Grandkids, it's hard to keep up with everybody.
Yeah.
Like I remember you, Kyle, and Ruth Ann, and that's it.
Yeah.
I can't remember the other brothers and sisters. There's 6 of you, right?
I'm the second of 7.
Oh, there's 7.
Yeah, so there's 7 of
Oh,
us.
snaps. You're the oldest?
So I have an older sister, Aubrey.
That's right, Aubrey.
Yeah.
And then you,
Yep. Then Kyle.
Kyle,
Then Michael.
Michael,
Then Ruth Ann.
Ruthann,
Then Katie.
Katie.
Then Amy.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
Oh man. How are they all doing?
They're all pretty good. A lot of
Yeah?
them are back in Spokane, actually.
Dang.
Which is kind of where I grew up, as you know. So, yeah, we all kind of left Southern California, and I guess that was late 99. I think, the summer of 99, I think it was when we'd left. And, Spokane's basically been the Gordon home base ever since.
Damn. Uncle Bob. Dude, your dad was the best, dude. Your
He's a
mom
good
is the
guy.
best too.
Yeah.
You
she's
guys,
awesome.
the humor that came out of those two, nonstop.
Yeah, they're good.
I remember seeing your dad. I forget how old I was, but he made that Michael Jackson video.
Oh, man.
Remember that? And
Yeah.
he had the bottle as the microphone.
Uh-huh. It's classic.
Dude.
It's been this long-term project for us to find that video, because there was that with the Michael Jackson, and then there was another video, maybe you saw it at some point, where my dad acted as Batman. Did you ever see this one?
Ooh, I think I remember seeing
It's
that
like
one.
a weird,
Yeah.
funky home video. It's pretty funny. But I actually, for Christmas last year, for my mom mostly, I did this big project where over the years, she just collected all these VHSs, from like the home video recorders.
Yeah,
Back in
all
the day.
on the shoulder.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so over the years, we collected all those VHSs. And then like in the late 20 teens, when like DVD was the go-to format, everyone thought DVDs were going to be everything forever.
Yep.
And so we converted all the VHSs to DVDs.
That's pretty good,
And then, so
dude.
we had all these DVDs lying around. And now it's like, well, now we could, in theory, we could put all this in the cloud somewhere.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
That feels like it might actually be a long-term solution to video storage that doesn't just get like superseded by some new technology in another decade. So what I did is I converted virtually all of our old home videos from DVD into the cloud. And so now they're like on Google Drive, and they're like mostly labeled and stuff. So now anyone in my family can just go pull up, what was going on like spring of 84
that's cool.
or 87 or something. And like watch whatever home videos we have from that time, which has been a like surprisingly tedious process, but it's pretty much
Dang.
done.
Did they made a lot of videos, or
We-
they recorded a lot?
We did a lot.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I guess it turned out to be like 6 to 8 hours a year, but then that was like over 20 years. So
Damn,
it turns
yeah,
into
that's
a
a
lot of
lot.
hours. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like much year to year, but then you stack it all up from, your whole childhood or whatever. It's kind of a lot.
Dang.
It's a lot of birthdays.
Dude, that's a lot. Yeah, there's 7 of you. I
Yeah.
can imagine this nonstop birthdays.
Pretty much.
And then like birthday after birthday and just repeat.
Yeah.
Dang, dude. You can't find that one, huh? That's the
It's
one-
heartbreaking because it's the one that we all remember
Yeah,
the most.
Everybody remembers that one. He
Yeah.
did such a good job too. The way he had the suit on and
You nailed it.
he did nail it. The baby bottle was just like the icing on the cake. I was like, oh my God, Uncle Bob's funny. Dang. So how was growing up in Spokane, man?
Yeah,
How'd you like that?
I like Spokane a lot. It's got some funny nicknames. Some people call it Spokanistan. Bethlehem.
Bethlehem?
Yes, some people call it that. So
There's a lot of meth
kind
going on up there, huh?
The downtown's a bit dingy, and it's gotten a lot dingier. But we lived out in the valley. It was a lot nicer out there, and it's a great place to grow up. It was really calm. It's kind of it's in the mountains of eastern Washington, so it's a lot like the Panhandle of Idaho. So
Gotcha.
it's pretty relatively mountainous. It's not rainy like the West Coast or arid like the center of Washington.
Really? I figured
Yeah.
it'd just be wet all the time.
Yeah, it's just like if you think of like northern Idaho or western Montana, it's the same kind of environment. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, when I was in Seattle and when I visited, I was like, dude, I don't know how people. It's just constantly wet.
Yeah, that's like where
Like
seasonal depression
moist.
comes from too.
Yeah.
It's like the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, Josh lives up there. He lives up in Portland.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I forget what city he is. He's like 20, maybe 30 minutes out
Okay.
from Portland. Cute little house. I was like, when I was out there for like 4 days visiting, I was like, dude, where is the sun? And you could
Yeah.
feel it.
Yeah,
I
for
was
sure.
like, man, I'm tired. I was mostly just like tired. I wasn't depressed, but I was like, dude, how do you live? He's like, what's wrong?
Yeah, it takes a special kind of person.
Yeah, he does really well. Him and his wife are like built for that area.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they thrive. No depression from what he tells me.
Yeah.
And yeah, he does really good. He's super smart like you. You guys are like just geniuses.
I don't know about that for me. I'm sure he is, but
No,
what does he do? I haven't caught up with Josh, and I don't even know how long.
Yeah, he has his bachelor's in physics.
Oh, no way.
He does like physics things. So he was working on like a sub company that worked with NASA,
Okay.
and they're working on like electrical, I think, propulsion engines. If I have that
That
memorized.
sounds cool.
Yeah, very cool stuff. Very smart. I always enjoy talking to him.
Yeah, that sounds
Always
fun.
have like, dude, what does this mean, cosmos? And like,
Yeah.
what do you think about life? It's always that stall answer, and then he'll just give me something where I'm like, that makes sense.
It's
So-
funny. I actually run into a lot of physicists in
That's
my
what
job.
he is, physicist. There you go.
Yeah, because I work with hedge funds, as you know, and hedge funds are this weird attraction point for brains. So it kind of
Mhm.
like any super hard science or super hard discipline like that, where your job is to solve like complicated problems. Like
Yeah.
there's a decent bit of overlap with those fields and disciplines and just hedge funds, because like
Numbers.
the way you make money in hedge funds is to outsmart people
Right.
in a very overly simplified, kind of way. So there's a couple guys I interact with regularly that are physicists. So it's hard to keep up with those guys. It's not easy.
I can keep up a little bit because I have a degree in like radiological physics.
Okay.
Because I work in radiology.
Uh-huh.
So we were talking and we knew a little bit, and then he got away from me. I was like, yeah, you lost me.
It doesn't take much for them to pass me up. So.
Yeah. Some of those dudes, some of those theories, and just like, huh? How? Like string theory or black hole energy, or what is that? Dark mass?
Dark energy.
Dark in it. There's less dark energy, the more positive energy in the universe.
Yeah,
You know
I mean,
about
this
that?
is I reach the limits of something that I can speak cogently about pretty darn quickly on these topics. But but my intuition is, or my understanding is the same, that there's more dark energy than whatever
There's
normal energy is.
less dark energy.
Or dark matter, I guess.
Dark matter, that's what I'm looking at. So there's more matter than there is dark matter. And usually it's like a 1-to-1 ratio.
Huh.
So it's this weird like thing that for some reason they can't figure out like
Yeah.
why that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's all I know.
Mysteries for other folks to solve. That's not
Yeah.
going to be me figuring that out.
Yeah. Yeah, that stuff is wild. But he knows all about it.
That's
And
cool.
it's just like fascinating. It's like he just has that brain that just goes, oh yeah, dude. So, but he's doing really well up there. I don't know if he ever goes up and sees your mom and dad. I feel like he has once in.
Could be.
I know your mom and dad were there for his like bachelor wedding something.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Something like that he told me.
That's cool.
So yeah. But such is life.
Yeah.
So what was I gonna ask you? Growing up, how did you go into your field after like high school? You went on your mission and everything like that too, right?
Yeah, so from 2007 to 2009, I was a Mormon missionary in the South, in Alabama and Mississippi and stuff. Did all that. But as far as like professional trajectory, I actually started off because my dad's an accountant, and I started studying accounting, and after a couple semesters of that, I just realized that counting the beans was never going to be as interesting as deciding what to do with the beans.
Gotcha.
You know? And so I kind of switched to finance, and right out of undergrad, basically took a hard left and was a rock climbing and canyoneering guide for like a year.
Yeah.
And because I had some jobs, actually, I had some offers from like life insurance companies that were basically you're just selling your soul, and like they're just stripping any referrals out of you they can for like a year, and then they kick you to the curb and pay you almost nothing. And so I had those jobs. I was like, I don't think I will want to do this. So it was like, let me take this other job while I like actually find a job I'm excited about and under less time pressure. So I was a guide for like a year, and then I got a job at Charles Schwab in Phoenix, Arizona. So I was like a run-of-the-mill stockbroker for like a year, and
they're pretty big, aren't they?
they're a
The
big
Schwab?
firm. Yeah, they're big.
Well, let's pedal back to the rock climbing thing. Who got you into that?
So I always had I've kind of this characteristic about me that I can kind of tell before I do something if I'm going to really like it or not. And I always thought like, I'll bet if I try rock climbing, will just totally love it.
Yeah.
And then so a friend of mine took me to a rock climbing gym in Spokane called Wild Walls. And from day one, I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be a huge part of my life for the rest of my life. I just kind of could tell.
Dang.
And so I started climbing in, I don't know, 2006, 2005, something like that. So like 20 years ago.
20 years.
Yeah. And then you don't get to do much rock climbing as a Mormon missionary, so it kind of took a hiatus there.
Man, yeah.
But then as soon as while I was a missionary, I like bought a hangboard with like my like stipend money from the church. Yeah, so I put it up above my doorway, and like I was like training for having only climbed for a few months before my mission. I like trained through my mission because I knew I was going to go back and like get into it full steam.
What's up.
And then started climbing. Like my first time climbing outdoors was after I got back from my mission. I was like a brand new return missionary from the Mormon church, which is like, you've got these crazy goggles on how you see the world of like what's right and wrong and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just found these random guys on the internet who were going to go climbing. And I was like, will you take me with you? And they were like, yeah, sure, I guess. So we went up to this remote crag, like this remote peak outside of Spokane. And they brought a cooler with them. And I was
full of beers.
So they're like drinking and belaying me, but I wanted to climb so bad. I was like, I'll just deal with this. I don't really know what's going on, or I don't know how to assess this risk, but I knew I really wanted to climb. So like the first time I ever climbed was with these like drunk sloshed guys who I never met. I think I met them on Craigslist. Like this is like circa Craigslist hookup.
My God, dude.
So that was like my first episode climbing outside. I still had a blast, even though I was like, I don't know what the heck's going on.
Dang. That's crazy, dude. Rock climbing dudes are next level awkward. Like,
there's a lot of us that are like,
I'm not saying you're awkward, but I've met some climbers and I'm like, what, dude? What are you talking about? And they're just so like, whatever. Like, you know, weird, like, what's life? I'm gonna live in my van. Yep, everything's cool.
Yeah.
You know, like no worries, and we're just gonna climb. I was like, that's it.
Yeah, it attracts the kind of hippie-esque
There you go.
counterculture.
They're very hippie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a friend, his ex-wife got really into climbing, and it like fits her though.
Oh yeah.
She just has that like personality. I was just like, huh, just very like free bird. You know, it's. I couldn't do that. I couldn't. I don't know how you guys climb up those peaks and just be like, yeah, this is cool, and then sleep on the side of the mountain.
Yeah, that's
Have
fun.
you done that?
Yeah, I've done. I sold it, but I owned a portaledge for years, and I climbed some stuff around Zion and Yosemite where you sleep on the portaledge and stuff.
How do you go to the bathroom in that?
It's
pooping
pretty much
bags?
exactly what you think, more or less.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be sub 24 hours, sometimes you can just deal with it. You can
Sure.
just pee off the side. But
Yeah.
Number 2 is a lot more complicated. So you have a thing called a poop tube. So you've got like your big haul bag, just like a 60 to 80 liter, just open bag basically. And then below that you'll hang your portaledge. It's like a long, tube that folds up or whatever. It's like a cot that you can hang on the side of the cliff. But then next to that you'll hang what they call a poop tube. It's like a cylinder with a like sealed cap, and you just basically take care of business in there, and then you seal it back up and you carry it out and pack it out with you. This is like a big, I mean, maybe in like the 50s, 60s, maybe even into the early 70s, and like some of the bigger destination cragging spots, like you could maybe get away with leaving human waste, but ever since then, it's just been a huge social faux pas to leave any of that waste there because it just piles up.
That's what I hear. I hear people poop in bags and just chuck it down.
Yeah,
and it piles up.
I don't get the sense that it's a real problem anymore. I think the ethic has been pretty well established in the community that like that's a really crappy thing to do.
No pun intended.
Yeah. So then you pack it out with you. It's kind of
wow.
But you're always within like on the ledge. You're always within arm's reach of your partner. So your climbing partner. So you're taking care of business, like making eye contact with
them. Don't strain. Oh man, just let the cheeks hang out and just let it go, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah, the funniest story in that world that I have is it wasn't on a portaledge, actually. It was in Red Rocks outside of Vegas. You've ever been out there?
I haven't, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of awesome big routes out there.
Really?
And I was with one of my main climbing partners named Phil, and we started early on this like trade route. It's like a really famous route that lots and lots of people do. It's like, I don't know, it's 14 or 1,500 feet or something like that. And we're about halfway up. We started really early. And he had some coffee that morning. And we're like 4 or 5 pitches up. And we're in like this chimney basically. And there's a party below us. And he was like, dude, I have to drop trow and take a dump right now. Like if I don't do this in the next 2 minutes, it's just going to happen in my pants. Like for sure this is happening. We should like try to mitigate this if we can. And so we went through our bag real quick and all I had was like a produce section from the grocery store, like super, like the thinnest plastic bag you can imagine. And him and I, like I'm right like shoulder to shoulder with him at this belay station, 600 or 800 feet up. And there's this party right below us in this chimney. So it's like a straight line like from, we're basically like directly above the party below us. And he's like, I don't know what else to do. So he dropped his pants and like took care of business in this super thin plastic bag. And thank goodness didn't miss in any way. And we wrapped it all up and put it in my backpack, and then we climbed the rest of the day with this thing in my bag.
Just smelling like dunk, huh?
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
He couldn't just like maybe swing over and then handle and then swing back. Is that a thing?
There was nowhere to go really, because there's no rope above us or below us. We're both, all of our rope and all of our gear and us two are right next to each other.
Gotcha.
So there's no optionality on how far he could go left or right. It was like he couldn't go more than 2 feet in any direction.
Was he like just coming up to the end of your climb? And
yeah, so I had just led the pitch, and
gotcha.
he followed up right next to me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Dang, I know a little bit of it because I watched that climber guy. What's that guy's name?
Probably Alex Arnold.
Yeah. God. Have you ever done any free solo stuff?
He's passed me on a couple routes free soloing before.
Huh?
So I've met him in the airport once or twice. I met him in Camp 4 in Yosemite.
Whoa.
And then I met him right here in the Wasatch. There's a route called the West Slabs. It's like a really easy romp. Like lots of, like, I'd say 20 to 30% of the people who do it without a rope.
Oh, wow.
And I was guiding a client up there. And so we were roped up because that would be weird to guide someone in free solo. But while we were climbing, Alex Honnold just passed right by us. It was like, hey guys.
How
so
is
that was
he?
pretty fun.
Is he?
I mean,
What's he like?
I've never had more than like a 2-minute exchange with him, so it's not like I know the guy.
Sure.
But like every time I've like talked to him, he's always very unassuming, very humble, like very self-deprecating. Like,
Gotcha.
Yeah,
He's
a cool guy.
He respects what he's doing, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think so.
Dude, that stuff is crazy. Did he just smoke right by you guys?
Oh,
and then
for sure.
2 seconds later, like, where'd he go?
Yeah. I mean, he was in our field of vision for all of maybe 3 or 4 minutes, just super fast cruising.
That's so crazy. Yeah. Did you ever climb that one he did for that video? The one in Yosemite that he free soloed that whole.
I mean, there's El Cap.
That
I don't
one.
know if so I've climbed on El Cap, but I haven't climbed the route he did, and I've never even summited El Cap. It's a
monster. It's really like bigger than you think, kind of thing.
I mean, I guess I never climbed it with the intention of summiting it because it's a huge face, and there's lots of stuff you can climb that doesn't necessarily go to the top.
Oh,
and so I was just kind of piddling around, at the bottom, which is still fun, but.
Dude,
it's not making it into any magazines.
Did you, when you walked up to it and you looked up, you're just like, this is insane.
It's cool. It feels like you're in a storybook.
Yeah.
Especially as like a rock climber, there's so much lore around Yosemite and the valley and El Cap. It's like, it is the birthplace of modern rock climbing. And like El Cap in particular is like the home of more stories than any other single place in the world for climbing. So it's cool to like goof around on there.
Sure. How far did you go up it?
Oh, less than 1,000 feet.
That's still pretty high, dude. Less than 1,000. Yeah. I can imagine being on a rope 1,000 feet up, just like, huh?
Yeah, it's
I'm
pretty
on
fun.
This little rope with the little thing in the. What is that thing called? You put in the rock.
There's lots of different types, but cams are probably the most commonly referred to piece like that.
Dude, have you ever had like a scare where you had to like
the worst fall I ever had was on a route in Zion National Park called Moonlight Buttress. And if you've watched that film about Alex Honnold, there's a section where it tells the story about how he free soloed Moonlight Buttress. It's like this big route in Zion. It's like 1,400 feet or something like that. And so he did it without a rope, which is like kind of the thing that put Alex Honnold on the map, partly because he did it on April Fool's Day and nobody believed him for like a month or something.
Believe him now.
So it was on that route. It's like pitch 3 or so, and it's a bit of a traverse, and the gear's not very good. And I was doing a style of climbing called aid climbing, where you put a piece of gear in, then you have like a nylon ladder attached to it. And so instead of like having to like use your own strength to move across the rock, you can basically just use the features of the rock. And, if you have enough gear, the right types of gear, you can basically just walk up and walk. It's not quite the right term, but you put a piece of gear in and you step on a ladder and you walk up the ladder. Then you put another piece of gear higher and walk up another ladder or whatever.
So it's like 2 little prongs sticking out with a little rope in the middle.
That's exactly what it is.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's an aider, is kind of what they call them. But it was on this one pitch where I was doing that style of climbing, and I put in this cam, and I didn't really love it. And like the next piece of gear below me was about 10 to 12 feet down and about 4 feet to the left. And I was looking at this piece, and the kind of standard methodology is you put the piece in, you clip the ladder and to the piece, and then you kind of test it.
Yeah.
Kind of jerk on it to make sure it's, because the next step is to like put your body weight on it. And so if it's going to blow out really easily, you want to blow it out like while you're still holding on to something else.
Right.
And in this particular stance, it was this like kind of weird ledge system that I was on and just climbed over. And so I put this piece of gear in and I tested it, and it seemed like it was probably okay. I didn't love it. But then as I weighted it, the piece blew out, and which sent me backwards. And then I'm just like in this free fall. And normally that's not like a huge deal, but this particular section, like there wasn't any good place for extra gear, I was just kind of like scrambling over this open rock. Because you need like cracks, you need like special features to keep it safe and to put extra gear in. But it wasn't like super hard climbing, but there was no good features for me to use any protection. So it was kind of this open space between where I was and my last piece of gear. And so I fell. The way that falls and climbing work is if you're 10 feet above your last piece, you fall that 10 feet and then you fall an additional 10 feet. And then you have to fall far enough to take out the rest of the slack in the system. Ooh. So if there's like a couple feet of rope of slack in the rope, and then the rope is dynamic, so it stretches as well. And so I fell, I don't know, 16 to 18 feet, and then I hit a ledge. And it wasn't like a big ledge. It was probably a little short of less than the width of this table, but it was enough to where I hit my heels, and then it flipped me all the way upside down really fast. And then I started to get like caught by my last piece of gear, which was way to the side. Well, not way, it was a couple feet to the side. So it wasn't like a straight fall. I actually like pendulumed under my last piece of gear and like scraped up against the wall. And so I bruised my heels pretty bad and scratched myself up and stuff. And like this kind of the funky part about that fall was that then I had to like reclimb the rope back up to that last piece of gear. And then I had to reclimb the section I had just climbed, and there's no place to put any gear, so I couldn't make it safer. And then I got back to the exact same feature, the exact same crack that I put in a cam in before, and I just put the cam in a different way, and was like, there, as far as I could tell with the gear I had and the expertise I had at the time, like I didn't have an alternative other than to just do it again.
Oh
and
my
so
God.
then I had to just like do the same move on the same piece of gear basically, and like, finicked with it a little better and think I got it in a little more safely. And thankfully it held and I moved past it. But like I've got these pictures I'll show you sometime where from that night on the portal edge, my heels are just black and blue and all like swollen up, and like I could barely get my feet in my boots and my shoes the next morning because they were so swollen.
Damn, you didn't break your calcaneus or anything?
No,
like
I didn't
that?
break anything, I don't think, but my left knee pops every time I bend it. Every time I go upstairs, it pops after that.
Oh, dude,
and
mine does that all the time when I have a climbing accident.
and I couldn't run for more than about 2 miles for like 5 years after that without it like really hurting. I eventually saw some kind of doctor and they gave me some kind of shot. I can't remember what it was. This was years ago, but then I was able to like train through it after that shot enough to where I could run kind of normally. I can run longer distances now, but there was a long time where I couldn't run for very long.
Yeah. Dude, when you were falling, were you just, what was that mindset like? Were you just, this is it?
Yeah. I mean, it all happens pretty fast. You're just like, you're stressed initially because sometimes you fall and you have no idea it's coming.
Yeah.
In this particular instance, I was like, shit. There's like a good chance this goes south. And yeah, so then for me, my mind just explodes into just like, how bad is this going to get? I have no idea.
Yeah.
And it could have been worse for sure.
Dude, way worse. Yeah. We could not be having this conversation.
Oh yeah. The other funny part about that, funny is probably not the right word, but the other part of that is, so the piece that caught me is like a nut, which is just like a piece of like a wedged piece of metal. You just slot in a crack. And just the constriction stops the nut from coming out. And had that piece blown as well, I would have taken like another 25 to 30 foot fall, because the next piece of gear was the anchors where my belayer was. So it would have been a total catastrophe if that other piece would have blown. Thank God it didn't.
You would have just failed all the way to the bottom then.
I was still hundreds of feet up. So
you were 100
but
feet
it's
up.
like that. If I'd have fallen farther, it's not dead vertical anymore. It's kind of less than vertical, and it's kind of like ledgy and blocky. And I would have just like ping ponged my way down like another 30 feet and hit who knows how much shit on the way down. Oh my God. So dude. Yeah, I'm really glad. It's a number 11 green black diamond nut. It's like, I remember that piece. Like I always will. Cause like, that thing like saved me from a hospital trip for sure.
Dude. Was there anybody around you, or just you?
My partner. So I was with my buddy Joe Crane, and so he was belaying me at the time. So we kind of swapped leads
And he just
around.
watch you.
And so actually, he's around a corner, so he can't see me.
Oh,
he just
didn't
hears me
even
go like, "Oh shit!" and then just like ping, 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 like all my stuff flying all over the
And
place.
then he comes around.
Yeah.
Hey, Russ, you all right?
Yeah, and so so we couldn't see each other, unfortunately, on that particular section. So once I like got my wits back about me, I could like yell to him sort of, but it's kind of around a corner and it was a little bit windy, so we couldn't hear each other very well, but we could hear each other well enough to where I was able to, I think, communicate that like I was not dead and I was going to go up and try again.
Dang, dude. I would have called it a day and just went home.
Yeah,
Kudos to you
what
for going
sucked
up.
as well on that is like that was like the first third of the first day, so it was like it's got a long way to go.
was that climb like a couple day?
It was just one night. I mean,
one night. Gotcha.
A lot of folks who are, a lot of people are better than me, and they do it in a day. It's like not uncommon.
Gotcha.
But I had a portaledge at the time, and it's fun to kind of.
Yeah, dude, that has to be. So when you sleep in that thing, is this like mummified in there? Don't move, kind of thing.
Yeah, more or less. Sort of. I mean, you get acclimated to it, where it's not like scary. You're just hanging out. But you're always tied in, so you have your harness on 24/7.
Gotcha.
And we had sleeping bags and stuff. But what is kind of funky that maybe isn't obvious initially is that the whole portaledge moves. You know, it's not it's secure in that it's very, very, very unlikely that it will fall.
Yeah.
But it's not like pinned in 20 different places to where it's super stable.
Gotcha.
Like the wind will move it around, and your partner, anytime they shift while they're sleeping, it moves a little bit too. So you kind of have to get used to like a little bit of like perpetual shifting.
Yeah. A little bit of motion. Oh my God, dude. I still can't get over the fall.
Yeah, that's probably my worst fall actually.
Dude, I wonder if did your life flash before your eyes?
I mean, nothing like it was just pure fear, you know, for like I don't know. Like the whole thing start to finish is like maybe 2 seconds,
sure,
2 or 3 seconds. Before you realize like, okay, I'm not dead. I'm gonna be fine. Essentially. Yeah, it was very scary though. It was very scary.
Dude. And you did that as a guide too, huh?
Oh, so that was just me and my buddy. I would never guide someone up something that was like that difficult for me. Because I would only guide someone in like terrain where I'm like, this is no problem. I don't even have to think about this.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of money in guiding?
Well,
and stuff that you did?
Very upper echelons, like really legitimate international guiding for like super wealthy folks. You can make okay money, like you're not hungry kind of money, but
living
like,
in your van kind of money.
Yeah, basically, that's like the type of folks that are attracted to that kind of work. But like the kind of guiding I did, like, oh, you're totally living in the dirt. Like it's super bare bones. But it's really fun.
You must have liked it because you did it for a whole year. You said, right?
Yeah, I liked it a lot, and I still do it. Like it, I guide very, very part-time now for fun, basically.
Gotcha.
You know, like I'm not like, it's not an income source per se. Like I don't rely on any money from that at all, but I really like it. Like if I had the means to retire today, I would probably just go back and be a guide.
No,
really, it's really fun. Yeah.
Good for you. I bet that's gotta be wild to be up that high and look out and just be like, damn.
Yeah. It's fun to wake up.
Look at this.
Yeah. Waking up in those environments is really cool.
I bet it's so humbling. Because anytime I'm in the wilderness and I go on hikes a lot by myself and I just look out and just go, what? Yeah. What is this, dude?
It's awesome perspective, for your life and just for you as a person. It's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have that back home. So when I moved to Utah, when I first moved here, it was like, oh, you in the outdoors? I was like, I am, but I have no idea where to go. And then I downloaded that map, hiking trail app.
Oh, All Trails?
All Trails.
Oh, yeah.
And I started picking at them, and I found one I really, really like. I do it all the time, and then I did my first peak last year.
Oh, what'd you do?
I forget which one it was called. You'd think I would remember it. It was like the easier one. It's up in Cottonwood. I forget its name. I think it was like Mel Road or something.
Like Mill
that.
Canyon?
Something like that. I didn't even know I was doing a peak.
Oh, fair enough.
I was just watching myself. I was like, oh, this
Hey,
is
I'm
a
on the
peak.
summit of something. Sweet.
I was up there. I was like, oh, I see why people like going all the way up here. But then going down sucked, dude. It was just like this, like just vertical.
Yeah.
I don't mind going down, but it's just like that. Dude, my knees aren't like,
Yeah, that'll mess up your knees for
yeah.
sure.
So I know I'm not that old, but like I was like, oh man, this shit hurts. But yeah, man, being out in nature really does kind of put you back in your place.
Yeah.
Like you are not in control. Like Mother Nature will always win.
Yep.
Always. And when you test it, she'll let you know too. She's the keeper. Hey, so after the climbing, then you just went in straight education.
Yeah, pretty
got
much.
Your master's.
Yeah, so I had like a 4 or 5 year stint in Phoenix at Schwab. So it was like a regular stockbroker, and then I was on an options trading desk. So I did a lot of like derivatives and options stuff.
Did you always like that stuff?
You know, it's interesting in a way because I always thought it was like kind of a natural fit for me. But then I go back and I talk to like my friends and acquaintances from college and high school and stuff. And with virtually no exceptions, everyone's like, what the heck are you? This doesn't match up with who I thought you were at all.
Yeah.
Like, how did you wind up in this world? Because it like doesn't seem to fit from anyone else's perspective, but it always felt pretty natural for me, I guess.
I guess you're good with numbers too then in school. Yeah?
Well, it's kind of interesting. In the sense that like, I was never good at math in like a stereotypical sense, but I always really liked it. Like
Gotcha.
I would read about math for fun sometimes, and I would really liked learning about it, but I had no, well, that's hyperbolic. I had very little like natural ability. Like,
Sure.
I've never taken a calculus course, but I enjoy like studying calculus and like I like learning about it, but I've never done it in any kind of formal setting. It was all like I didn't show any real skill like compared to my peers in high school
Sure.
or college for math, but I really enjoyed learning about it. It was like fun for me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that'll get you somewhere. Like just liking the, process of learning can get you pretty far, even if you're like normal aptitude.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of put myself in that camp. I liked it, but I wasn't like I was like average.
Yeah. Dude, I sucked at math. I'm a lot like you. I actually really love math and what it does for the world. It's very awesome. I just never liked the pace at which it was taught.
Oh, really?
Especially in high school, I could not keep up at that pace. It's like, okay, chapter 1, okay, we're going to make it to chapter 3. It's like, hold on, we need to slow this way down.
Oh, sure.
Give me time to like work with these formulas and memorize them.
Yeah.
It was just too rushed. And I sucked at it in high school too. College. Oh, I struggled so bad in college. And then I had to take statistics, healthcare statistics.
Statistics.
I speak English. And dude, I was like, what is this stuff,
Oh yeah,
dude?
I think we looked at one of your homework problems
Yeah,
one time in stats.
I sent you one of the problems like, hey man, how do you make the graph for this? It's just, and again, I didn't hate it. I just wish it wasn't rushed.
Sure.
Because I understand what they were trying to show me and what I was doing, but I didn't like grasp it fully.
Yeah.
It was just like, you got it, right? It's like, no, I need like a year with this.
Sure.
So, but I mean, I passed it.
Nice.
But I had no idea what I was doing, dude. It was a lot of YouTube. Just
sure.
like, I guess. I'm using apps just to plug in like the equations.
Yeah.
I was like, I guess this is the answer. But dang, all right. So where did you do your bachelor's degree at?
BYU, Idaho. In
Okay.
Rexburg. Yeah.
BYU, Idaho. Nothing in Washington
So
strike your interest?
Well, that was kind of circumstantial based on kind of where I was in my life at the time. But when I was in high school, actually, Washington does this program that you can opt into called Running Start, where for your junior and senior year of high school, you can just go to college, which is awesome and was totally up my alley.
Yeah.
And like, there's no like prerequisites. You don't have to like test into it. You can just effectively fill out a form and check a box that says, I want to do this instead of high school. It's like, why doesn't everybody do this? So I basically graduated high school with my AA, but I just went to community colleges.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like anything fancy.
Oh, dude, community college. When I finished that, that's a big deal, dude.
It was.
It's a big deal
to be
for
able
a lot
to
of
do
people.
that and like basically do my junior and senior year of college at the same time as my AA, like how's like super efficient. Is like awesome.
Dude, you save so much money.
Yeah.
Dude,
it's the way to go.
And time.
And like the jobs I work in now, nobody cares that I went to community college for the first couple of years. Like, just it absolutely doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, they want that bachelor's, and then what else you got?
Yeah. So I did my bachelor's in finance from BYU, Idaho, and then I did an MBA from BYU.
Damn.
So I graduated from that in like 2020.
Did you like BYU, Idaho? So I'm assuming you lived in Idaho. It wasn't online.
Oh yeah, I was in Rexburg, which is
my God,
podunk town. There's lots of good things about it. There's some weird stuff about it. I mean,
Idaho has some weird laws, man, especially in healthcare. There's some goofy stuff going on in there.
In Idaho or in like Rexburg?
Like Boise.
Oh, okay.
Boise, Idaho. That's where I got my degree.
Oh yeah, I saw that on the wall actually.
Boise State University. Yeah. There's just weird laws up there, man.
Huh.
They got some weird stuff. And what part of Idaho? From Boise, where was?
So Rexburg's like northeast.
Northeast.
It's east northeast probably from Boise, because it's not terribly far from Wyoming.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, it's like a 50-minute drive, maybe an hour drive to, or maybe a little more. I don't know, to Jackson.
Dude.
If you know where that is. Yeah.
Dude, there's nothing out there.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of nothing.
What did you do for?
Well, there's some decent climbing,
years?
and the Tetons are there, so you can see the Tetons from Rexburg, which is pretty rad. So I goofed around in the Tetons a good bit. There's some other climbing, so I was like, that was my go-to hobby. Like if I was in school and if I could climb, I was climbing basically.
Were you living in the dorms? Were you working or just living off school loans?
So I definitely took out some student loans, and then my other means of income was basically selling my body.
Oh, whoa!
So I did a lot of plasma. So
Chris did
lots
that,
of plasma,
dude.
And I was an art model for the art classes.
Oh my
so
God,
I was like
dude.
a figure model, which is pretty fun.
Dude, tell me you had to do the nude. Do you have to do nude ones?
Well, in Rexburg, Idaho, as you might guess, at a very Mormon school, they're not game for the nude modeling. But I did wear some pretty tight booty shorts. Yeah.
Booty shorts? So did you just have to sit like...
Yeah, the professor would give me some kind of pose, and then which is like, I did not anticipate how difficult and painful it would be to not move for long periods of time. It's freaking hard.
Yeah.
Like way harder than I thought it would be.
Yeah. Human beings are not meant to sit still. People get, like old people, for instance, to get bed sores from not getting up and moving. It's important to move.
Yeah.
Yeah, you must have stood there for at least like 2 or 3 hours, right?
Yeah, I mean, if I remember right, like every 30 or 40 minutes, they would do a short break, like a couple minute break.
How funny, dude.
Yeah, one of my buddies actually has there was like one of the guys from the art class did like a pretty cool picture, or I don't know, I thought it was pretty cool picture of me in charcoal. And he like signed it as I think he put like Russell the Muscle at the bottom or something like that.
Yeah, it's a great nickname.
He gave it to me. And then I gave it to my buddy who worked at a frame shop at the time randomly. And they had this old, like super big ornate, like $4,000 frame that got like cracked or something. They were going to like throw away because I couldn't resell it.
Yeah.
But he framed this picture of me. It's like
God.
still in his house. And so people like, so I hang out with him all the time, but he's got a big circle of friends and I've got a pretty tight circle of friends.
Yeah.
And so I'll go over to his place sometime and meet a bunch of his friends for the first time. And they're like, oh, frick, like you're the dude from the picture.
You're
on
the
Dallas's
George.
wall. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like I've like met people who only know me from that picture.
Dude, that is so funny. You sold plasma and did. Oh my god, Chris would do plasma donations a lot.
Yeah.
I told him you gotta stop doing that.
I've got a pretty mean track mark actually. Yeah. So I look like a heroin addict.
You build up cartilage, dude. Dude, I told him to stop because when I worked at the U, this guy, he came in and like a week later, so he had given plasma. He came into us like maybe 2 or 3 days later, and the where they stuck the needle in, it wouldn't heal.
Oh, no way.
It would actually keep opening up and opening. So he came
That's
in.
terrifying.
It is terrifying, and this is what happens with those plasma places. Is so they get an IV in them. I haven't seen them yet. They're and they put him up into the room.
Mm-hmm.
The IV, his body rejects the IV.
Oh, no way.
It gets infected and it won't close.
Oh, man.
So they're like, okay. So they patch that up, try an IV over here, and then we get him. And we're like, what's going on? He's like, dude, I gave plasma, and now every time you stick a needle in me or open up my skin, it won't heal. He got some
that
weird...
generalized across his whole body, or just kind of localized to that part of his arm?
Anytime he would open up. So
oh, whoa.
It was really weird, like really freaky situation. They're like, well, do you have any like weird autoimmune that you didn't know about? Or he's like, no, this is the first time this ever happened. I usually donate all the time. And then right when he said donate, it's like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
So they do the best they can with those donation places, but I don't know.
You're probably not finding like the highest caliber employee ever, and like the highest caliber procedures. It's not an ICU.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't say exactly what happens with those machines, but when you're turning in multiple people through the same machine, I know they sanitize the best they can. Sometimes it happens.
Yeah.
And he caught some weird, funky bacteria.
That's wild.
And then I think they finally figured it out. And they were able to save him. But yeah, he just kept, dude, I was looking at him. I was like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
It's like flesh eating something.
That's terrifying.
Scary. So I don't donate. No, I've never donated
anymore, actually.
and I will never donate.
I went a couple years ago just because I don't remember why I felt motivated to try it again. I was like, whatever, I'll do it. And so I go in for like a screening, and it's like a 2-hour ordeal. Like they ask you a bunch of questions, do a bunch of tests, whatever. And at the very, very end of this whole thing, the screener, the guy was like, is there anything about your medical history we haven't talked about that you think maybe we should know about? And I was like, well, a couple years ago, I was diagnosed with this autoimmune disease called ankylosing spondylitis. I was like, I don't think I have it, but I was diagnosed with it. He was like, oh, well, you can never donate plasma here or anywhere else ever again. I'm really sorry I wasted your time. You're going to like a national registry where you cannot donate anymore.
Oh, wow.
Because I was diagnosed with this autoimmune disease. So
what is that autoimmune disease? What does that one do?
So I don't think I have it. There was a couple of years where I was pretty sure I did, but now I'm pretty sure I don't. But basically, it's a little bit like rheumatoid arthritis, sort of. But ankylosing spondylitis is basically when your spine like slowly calcifies.
Ooh.
This is like the most brutal versions of it. People just end up hunched over with a completely fused spine. And a lot of nerve pain. But there was a couple, like, I don't know, like 6 or 8 months, like right around the time when my twin girls, my first kids, were born. There was a couple hard months where like my hands hurt so much that I like couldn't like button buttons on my shirt, and like tying my shoes was really painful. Typing was really painful. Every time I had to shake someone's hand, I was like, oh, I had to like brace for it, and it really hurt to shake hands. And like, so there was a couple months that was like really not fun. When I had no idea what was going on for a while. But
dude, and then it just kind of went away.
Well, I got put on this like a drug trial for like it's actually like not a new drug, but it's like a new application of the drug kind of a thing for was it Humira, whatever it is, and that helped a lot. But then like halfway or 2/3 of the way through the study, they just kicked me out of the study, and they don't have to tell you why. You know, I don't know. I still don't know why. They're just like, whatever. You just don't get, because the drugs are super expensive.
Sure.
And I was getting them for free because I was in the study. So then I got kicked out of that, and I was seeing a rheumatologist, and he like, well, maybe we can try this other type of drug. And so he put me on a different thing for a while that wasn't as expensive and did a decent job. And so I kind of went back and forth across a couple. I got diagnosed with ankylosing spondylitis by 3 different oh gosh, what's the name of the doctor? I just said it.
Specialist,
Yeah.
rheumatologist.
Rheumatologist. Yeah. And because like the poster child for ankylosing spondylitis is like a relatively healthy dude in like his early mid-20s. I was like, that's when it gets you. And that's where I was at that time in my life. And so I think they just kind of gave me that card and were like, you fit this prototype basically. But my spine didn't really hurt that much. I had these weird transient pains, and like my feet and my hands hurt a lot consistently. And so I eventually saw a different rheumatologist who thought I just had like surprisingly early onset rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah.
And that he put me on some like much cheaper drugs that I hadn't tried before for that, and that helped quite a bit. And then eventually it just went into like remission, and like I haven't had any pain like that since I don't know, 2019 or something like that, which is like super cool. But it's this weird thing in the back of my mind, like someday, almost certainly, this is a genetic thing. So like, if I continue to live, it will come back eventually.
Nah.
I don't know of anyone in my genetic pool that has this. It's fairly
Dude,
rare.
this is when you fell on your heels, bro. Dude,
it gave me an autoimmune disease. I fell so hard.
I got autoimmune now. I think, dude, I went through a spell like that for like a couple years where I could barely move.
No way.
I went through probably the same thing you went through. Dude, I saw a rheumatoid.
Were you in your like early mid-20s?
I was in my early like mid-20s, like late 20s.
Whoa.
That time frame. And dude, there would be times where I could not get out of bed. I would just sit there and just be like, what's happening to my body? I'd just sit there for like 20 minutes before I can move.
Dude, it was way worse for me in the mornings too.
Yeah,
way
always in the
easier
morning.
evenings, yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I'm dying. I went to the hospital. I was like hospitalized. They couldn't figure out what it was. Dude, and I went on the hunt for that. Even when I moved in Utah, I was still having the same symptoms.
Dang, dude.
And then I had MRIs, I had CTs, I had all the blood work you can think of. They're just like, we don't know what it is. We don't know what to tell you.
That's ultra frustrating. Holy crap.
Yeah. And then I started looking back at, okay, what could it be? Obviously, I've done enough on my own, medically wise. They just don't know. And sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
And then I was like, maybe it's just my mindset. Maybe I'm just worn out, tired. Because I went through school for x-ray school for 2 years straight. I worked every weekend that whole time. So I never had a break. My body was just fried, yeah, dude. Like deep fried with extra sauce, dude. So, and then when I moved here, it just got worse and worse and worse. So I was like, okay, it must be mindset. And I started like slowly getting out of it, stretching. My body was like tight, just tight like a rubber band, dude. Like my pelvis area, I kid you not. Anytime I walked, I was like, oh my God, dude.
How was your back through this?
My back was on fire all the time.
Dude, that's
just stuck.
Wild.
It would go out. It would lock up all the time, dude.
This is so weird that we had this like parallel experience.
It must be a Russ thing.
Yeah. It's not our similar genetics. It's our similar first name.
So I thought it was rheumatoid because, my grandma has it and my mom supposedly has it. I'm not sure. I was like, well, I must have that then. And they're like, no, you're not even nothing. I was like, damn.
Dude,
okay. Stop searching then.
Maybe you had ankylosing spondylitis, man.
Maybe.
Once
in a while, dude, my body still gets real, real tight when I overdo it. When I overdo it, I know it's coming. Like my body just like locked up. My ankles, it usually hits my ankles first and I can't walk.
Dang.
Yeah. And then it finally like slowly goes away. Yeah, it's weird.
When it does come, or through the waves, were they like 3 to 5 days or was it like 2 to 3 weeks or?
Oh yeah, it'd be like 2 to 3 weeks where I just could not move. And then I just realized I don't handle stress well. I work too much, or I was working too much. I had this like weird mindset where I had to work all the time. I had to be super successful. Look at me. I had to get a bachelor's degree. I had to like just overdoing it.
Yeah.
Never stopping. And they don't teach you how to calm down after school. You know,
Yeah,
school
that is an adult
destroys
skill they
your
don't tell you,
like your mental everything. Like tears you apart. And they're like, okay, go back out in the world.
yeah. Yeah, it does a good job of
Yeah.
priming you for the hamster wheel
Yeah.
of,
That
capitalism.
sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went through that too, man. And then I finally just stopped accepting it. I was like, it'll go away. And I just keep stretching and then it goes away.
Mm.
And then I know when I overdo it, I can feel it. And like, okay, I just got to take some Motrin and it'll calm down. It's just a lot of weird sudden inflammation.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. But I have to stretch every day, dude. If I don't stretch, I wake up just like, so that's probably what, dude, we probably had the same thing.
Dude, it sure sounds like it.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
I'm pretty sure it was that. A lot of it, honestly, is just overdoing it. Just like this weird ambition you put in your head, like, okay, I don't want to be a loser. Let me go do all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then it like wrecks you. It's weird.
Yeah, it seemed like it hit me hardest like when I was working a lot. I was working nights, and we just had like twin girls, and so like sleep schedule was just
Stress,
a constant
man.
disaster. I
Yeah.
was working a bunch, and yeah, the whole thing for me, like when I had like noticeable symptoms, was like probably 3 years. How long was it for you?
I had it for like 3 or 4 years.
Weird.
Yeah. Yeah, this last couple of years, I finally figured out how to handle it. I do a lot of cold plunging, a lot of stretching.
Oh,
Like I know I already mentioned that, but
yeah. Oh, no, that's cool though.
I have to do it.
Yeah.
Like sitting down at work too. I get up, walk around,
Yeah.
stretch. You'll see me stretch all day at work.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of standing desks. I have a standing desk in my house and at my office.
Yeah, it's
Rarely
important.
sit. Yeah.
So, yeah, man, and just that amount of stress, I'm sure you felt it too. It's usually when it starts.
Yeah.
You're just like, what am I worried about? And then your body just goes, we're gonna shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's anything really like genetic or medical, in my opinion.
Hopefully I've optimized my life such that it will be a lot less stressful going forward.
It is very much to do with your mental.
Yeah.
It really is. I'm not saying it's the cure because some things are beyond mental, but with doing all your testing and everything, I'm sure you did it just like I did, and they never had an answer.
Yeah.
Kind of like, okay, how's your well-being mentally? I was like, oh, it sucks. So, yeah, then I got diagnosed with being bipolar too
Oh,
while
no
I was
way.
in school.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
So, but it comes with the, it makes sense though, after all the surgeries and things I had.
Hmm.
It makes total sense, especially the way I behaved as a kid.
Oh, no joke.
Yeah. Just, it was like textbook bipolar that never got treated.
Oh, sure.
So, on top of that, and then
What a crazy like puzzle piece to find
Dude,
later in life. I'm sure
yeah.
just like solving so many question marks from the past. I bet that's got to be wild.
Yeah, I had to do it because when I was doing my radiology school at Loma Linda, I needed like a quiet room. I need extended time for testing. I don't do well with that, like most people, but I really don't do well with that. And they're like, well, you gotta go get like diagnosed. You can't just, it's not
yeah.
like hearsay.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, okay. And luckily through the school, they give you like student health insurance. It was like the best insurance you could ever ask for. I was like, all right. And these tests were like thousands of dollars and it was free.
Awesome.
I was like, all right. So I spent 2 days with this neuro doc doing all these tests. And then he brought me in with all the results. He's like, yeah, you have major depression disorder with mania, also known as bipolar 1 disorder.
Whoa.
I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. So, but it's weird though with that. I have medication for it. I only take it like when I see myself really just not staying on track. It's this weird thing I have with myself. I know it sounds like weird, but I can watch myself doing shit I should not. Like, hey, what are you doing? You're getting off track, dude. Come over here. And then you just get back on it.
Yeah.
And then I'll have manic episodes where I'll start buying. Like my last one, I was buying a lot of soap.
Oh, no joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, at least there's some
Yeah.
marginal utility to having a bunch of si on hand. It's like
Yeah,
if
dude.
you
Body
there's
soap.
lots of other
Body
ways
soap.
to express that would be way more destructive, I suppose.
Yeah, you bipolar folks have a weird have a hard time with like panic buying or manic spending.
Oh, sure.
So they'll get hyper fixated on one thing and they got to know everything about it. So mine lately was like soap. I tried like every soap company.
No way.
Do I do tallow soap or do I do like with essential oils? All this shit, dude.
Dang. Well, you should give me some soap recommendations.
I have an extra bar if you want one, dude. I have so many.
You've done the research.
So, yeah, it sucks, dude. I hate it. Sometimes I'm just like, oh my God, dude, I don't want to go through this. And I just have to let it ride out. So, but going back to what you were saying, like a lot is like that pain you were feeling. There's usually a load of stress attached to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I found out. It's like, okay, what am I worried about? So with you having twins and working nights is like the worst thing on your body.
Yeah, it's not good for you.
And then, you know, having to provide for those, you know, your wife, your twins, house. I mean, dude, it just so much to deal with, you know.
Yeah, the other major point of stress in my life at that time too was I was in Phoenix and I rode like a crotch rocket, like a motorcycle, to work every day back and forth.
How many cc's you got?
I can't remember. Not many. It
250?
was not
Little
impressive.
one?
It's something like that. Yeah, it was
just
just like the cheapest way because we could only afford one car, and we couldn't afford a second car. I was like, well, I gotta get to work somehow. And I rode a bicycle for a while, but it was just brutal in the summer. I just couldn't do it.
Oh, well, yeah.
And
dude.
so I had like a little motorcycle, and just getting on the freeway every day was like, dude, today could be the day. Like I hated that feeling every day. It was like someone could sideswipe me and I could die today. Like that stressed me out so much more than anything I did, like rock climbing. It was just like, so out of my control and so dangerous. And I did that for years until eventually we could afford another car.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that stress is the ultimate killer.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with you. I have to tell, and I'm sure you have to tell yourself, there's nothing wrong with you. It's your stress is just amped.
Yeah.
So when you're sitting in fight and flight, especially on a crotch rocket, I rode one too. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, dude, you even hit a soft patch of dirt and you're done.
Yeah.
Chris ate shit on his bike.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he took a turn and hit some soft sand and he messed up his knee.
Oh,
yeah, he called me. He's like, bro, I'm in the hospital. Like, are you okay? And he showed me a picture of his knee. It was just spliced open, dude.
Oh,
yeah, right in the middle, and just looked like 4 pieces of meat went to the side.
Oh, man.
I was like, ugh, that's gross.
I've got a buddy who's an ICU nurse, and he's just like, dude, crotch rockets are like what get more people in here than any other single like incident or like single cause. Like people on motorcycles like wind up in the ICU way too often.
Dude, they're dangerous. Yeah. Dude, when I rode a Harley for a while, I remember I'm riding down and like there's a side street right here. I have the right of way. This lady looks right at me and turns right in front of me. Doesn't even like blink an eye, and we watch each other, and I had to swerve into oncoming traffic to go around her. I was like, dude. And I had too many close calls like that, and I was like, all right, I'm done.
Ugh.
Yeah,
that's terrifying.
It's so scary. And you, like when you were falling from that cliff, it's split second too.
Yeah,
like I'm gonna either run into her, or run into the dirt, or run into oncoming traffic, and hopefully no one hits me. Yeah, it's scary. I'm glad you don't ride that bike no more.
Yeah, it's like maybe I'll rent a bike for a couple days every other year, but I have no desire to own one ever again. Like it was just too stressful.
What about like a dual sport? Those are pretty safe.
Yeah,
those sit upright.
That could be fun.
Yeah. Let's get some dual sports, dude.
I could do, especially touring around. Like that could be kind of fun.
Yeah, those are fun.
Yeah.
Those are honestly probably the most safest thing you could ride.
Oh, really?
Because you're upright, you can go on and off the dirt. They can handle it a lot better. But, you know, drivers, they don't pay attention.
Yeah.
It's not common here in the
I
US.
see some of like the police officer bikes. Some of those look cushy. I'm like, get an old like decommissioned police officer motorcycle and like
Those
I
are
don't
big
know.
Harleys,
Yeah,
man.
it's pretty sweet.
Yeah. So, what was BYU like, dude?
Um, it was interesting going from like BYU Idaho, which is like the most hyper LDS kind of
Uh huh.
environment you can kind of imagine. And then going to BYU is like actually less myopic in a way, but still very, LDS, still very Mormon. For me, like I kind of wish that I would have had a non-Mormon education experience at some point, like an upper education experience that was not. I mean, I went to community college in Spokane
Yeah.
when I was like 17. So that was something. But I do wish that I would have gone to like a regular university at some point. But BYU was really, it was great in the sense that I do feel like the faculty is like world class, like they're really high caliber. And in my job now, I get to work with academic departments in different, universities, and I've interviewed for jobs at different universities at time. And so I think I have like a decent like appreciation for the fact that the faculty is like good. Like they
Gotcha.
publish high quality research. Like
Really?
they do some really interesting. I'm speaking specifically to the business school. I don't know much about most of the other schools at BYU, but the business school I think is quite solid. But it is like it's weird, like having prayers and stuff in like class. It's
Oh,
like,
really?
like there's some like, yeah, this is
Interesting.
Like,
Did you go
interest- yeah, it's
just to all the BY schools because there was something there that they offered than other colleges?
Yeah, so BYU Idaho specifically, I went there. What's funny when I was a Mormon missionary, my mission president, the guy in charge of like the mission or whatever, he was like well known or whatever at BYU, and so when I was leaving my mission, he and I had a good rapport, and I think he liked me, a decent bit as a missionary or whatever. I was a hard worker and stuff,
Yeah.
and so he told me at the time, he's like, when you apply to BYU, tell me before you apply, and I'll make some phone calls. And as long as you can
There
read
you
and
go.
write, you'll get into BYU. And I was like, sweet.
Yeah.
Because I think BYU has like a 60%, 50% acceptance rate or something like that.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's
like,
a good thing.
Yeah. So I applied to BYU, didn't get in. I was like, oh, dude.
Anybody but you, I guess.
So I was like, what the heck, dude? So yeah, whatever strings he pulled didn't work if he pulled any.
Man, he
And
was
then-
lying to you.
Then I applied to BYU Hawaii. And they said no. And so then I applied to BYU Idaho, which has an okay program. The dean, or the former dean of Harvard Business School, was the president of BYU Idaho.
Okay.
Kim Clark, I think was his name. I'm trying to remember. But anyway, so the business program at BYU Idaho was like modeled after Harvard, like lots of other programs, which is fine. The faculty is like okay, very few PhDs. No one's doing research. Like
Yeah.
it's not the same caliber of academic staff for sure, but the program itself is fine, and the acceptance rate is like 97% or something.
And
It's
you
like
didn't get in that
if you
either,
want to
huh?
go, thankfully I got in there. So like if you want to go, you can go. And like
Gotcha.
like no one in my family at the time had gone to college. I mean, my dad went to like a trade school, and my mom had gone to college for a while, but I don't think she finished her whatever program she was in. And none of my siblings had gone, and like even like most of the folks, and maybe I didn't know of anyone in our extended family that like went to college. Really, I'm sure somebody probably did, but I didn't know them, and
my
I couldn't
dad
like.
did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He went to what was that school down in Pasadena? Anywhere he went down. Cal State, Pasadena?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But he has like the same degree as you. He had
Really? Studies
business.
business and
yeah.
finance and stuff?
Business finance.
That's cool.
so
I should talk to your dad about that sometime.
yeah, he's really dude. He knows all about. He did claims adjusting.
Oh, insurance world,
for
huh?
insurance world for
Well,
25
he should be able to
years.
help you with your stats homework.
No,
That's like-
this is he's like, no, I don't got time for that.
So I don't know. BYU is fine. I felt like I got a good education in terms of like return on investment, like ROI. BYU's incredible.
Really?
For the quality of education you get per dollar is damn good. Like it's as a member of the Mormon Church, like you get a pretty healthy discount on tuition from folks who aren't members of the church.
Gotcha.
And so like coming out of like, and depending on what rankings you use or who you reference, like BYU bounces in and out of the top 20 for MBA programs, which is the type of program I was in, which is like has enough name brand recognition to where when you see it on a resume, it's like a lot of people like know about it. Not that everyone like has a really informed view of like what it is. It's not Harvard or Yale or Princeton or whatever.
Sure.
Like, it's not an Ivy League or anything, which is fine. But I felt like I got a pretty darn good education for like not a lot of dollars. And one of the cool things about BYU, especially I know this is true of the business school. I think it's probably true for the vast majority of the schools there or programs there. But it's rated number one back to back for many, many years as like the most family friendly program, especially for MBAs. So like if you have kids, an MBA school or program can be like pretty brutal on your family pretty often.
Yeah.
It's a lot more like manageable at BYU with kids, which understandably, right? They're so family focused. Yeah. And so I really appreciated that. They had like a lot of programs for like my wife at the time and like my kids, and like they were very understanding. Like if I had sick kids, they were like cool with me like having to deal with that. So that was pretty
Which
awesome.
makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know why most schools are not like that, dude. They're so cut and dry.
Well,
like,
a lot of the student body doesn't have kids in their early 20s. And
That's
a lot
true.
of the student body at BYU has kids in their early 20s.
That is true.
You know?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Dang, dude. And you spent 2 years there?
Yeah, I graduated a little bit early. So it was like a year and a half, a little bit less than a year and a half. And I got to do some cool stuff. They've got like a thing there they call Silver Fund, which is like a student-led stock picking portfolio over a couple $1,000,000. So I was like the president of that, which was pretty fun. And I got to meet I got well connected with a couple of the professors there that are pretty cool. And one of them, his name's Dr. Thorley. And
Dr. Thorley.
He owns a big chunk of land that butts up against Zion National Park.
Ooh.
And so he spent a bunch of time in Zion, and he's a finance guy. He's relatively well known and respected in the world of like academia and finance. And so and it was also his like last year as a professor there. And he was in charge of Silver Fund when I was the president of that. And he basically was just like, do whatever you want. Like, don't do anything crazy with this money. Just run stuff by me occasionally. And so I had like carte blanche. I could do kind of whatever we wanted because he trusted me, and because I had like run portfolios like that in the past. And at one point in the semester, like him and I were both in Zion National Park at the same time. And so he took me up to his property, and we were like buzzing around on this like 4-wheeler. So it's me and this like dude in his mid 70s, like blazing these trails, like going checking out canyons because he wanted to do some canyoneering, and I used to guide canyons and stuff.
There you go.
And so he took me to all these weird spots on his property that no one had ever been to because they couldn't get down into them. And so him and I were like doing this
that's
weird
cool.
like canyoneering expedition. Like this is like very random but pretty fun.
How fun.
Yeah.
Dude, Zion is such a beautiful place, man.
It's probably my favorite place in the world.
Yeah. Dude, I hear everybody says that.
It's the best.
Zion is the best.
Yeah.
I was like, better than Yosemite? Like, it's better.
There's less people, which is a kind of a big selling point for me. I mean, there's that's less and less true through time, but I guess relative to Yosemite, it's probably still as true. But in absolute terms, there's more and more people there.
Yeah.
But it's still really easy to get lost in the backcountry there, which is really awesome.
Yeah, I've never hiked in the backcountry. Maybe we could do that one day.
That'd be awesome.
Dude, I would love to.
Got some ideas.
I did Angel's Landing.
Sure.
Always a great hike. The Narrows.
Yep.
I never met anybody who went there and was like, this place sucks.
That's a good point. Yeah, I don't hear any negative reviews, actually.
No. It's hard to get in now. I hear you have to get a permit.
Yeah, there's a permit system now.
Sucks.
But if you just climb up the face, some of the routes that you can do, they top
secret
out
way
on
in?
the path of Angel's Landing. So there are some ways. You don't need a permit for that if you do it in a day, but it's
there has to be
lines,
ways to get in there without a permit.
There are.
There's got to be.
I wouldn't recommend them per se.
Yeah, I'm sure people have figured that out. And kept it hush.
Kind of the standard is you just start early and you ride a bike in.
Yeah.
You don't need the shuttle system, and you beat the rangers there.
We did that.
Not that I've
there.
actually never done that, but that is what you would do.
Chris and I, we did that one time. It was like, oh, just get there really early and you could drive right on in.
Yep.
And we drove right on in. So I think they have a gate now.
They do have a gate now.
Yeah, they ain't playing around.
So,
But, rightfully so, COVID, like, they saw a huge influx during COVID.
Yeah.
And they're like, whoa, it's too many people.
Yep.
And then everybody likes it, so they kept going back.
it's a cool spot. I
It
like
is.
a lot.
It's very... I don't think it's that big, right? It's not like
It's not
ginormous.
Yosemite, or you mean just like in terms of square mileage?
Yeah.
So the main canyon proper is not that big, but the borders of the national park are quite a bit bigger. There's a whole section up north called Kolob Canyon. You ever heard of this?
No.
It's in the bounds of the same national park, and it's freaking amazing.
Yeah?
And way fewer people, just as picturesque, but there's just not like a scenic drive through it. You kind of have to hike into it a little bit. So you can see it from the road, but it doesn't get the same kind of traffic. And dude, it's awesome. And the rock
Really?
climbing there is like, we should Google it after. You should see pictures of this place because it's like a 20 to 30 degree overhanging sandstone sculpted rock climbing gym. It's the most picturesque rock climbing I've ever seen. It's so cool. And the foliage and like all the trees and stuff are super green and the rock is super red and there's tons of these cool water streaks and just way fewer people.
Dude, we got to go there.
Yeah, it's
We
awesome.
got to plan a trip.
Yeah.
I haven't been camping in forever. I
That'd
had
be
to
a good
sleep in
spot.
my car, though, but I don't sleep on the ground anymore.
I do a lot of car camping. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't do it. I feel weird that I'm going to get eaten by something, too. Or bit by a tick, dude. I don't want to get bit by a
Yeah,
tick.
Lyme disease.
Yeah, I don't want that. That stuff's horrible. Damn, dude. That's cool that you made some good connections over there at BYU. I
Yeah.
get mixed reviews about BYU.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
culturally weird, but a lot
Yeah,
of
that's what I
so
hear.
many good people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
And like even now, so I do recruiting. I'm kind of do a lot of work for the recruiting for my firm, and I came from BYU, and like we recruit from BYU, and so I still stay in touch with a lot of the faculty over there, and I go like guest seminar in some finance classes sometimes and stuff like that, which is
Good
fun.
for you, dude.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about going into teaching?
I would love to be
You'd be a good
professor.
teacher.
I would really
Yeah.
like it a lot, but I looked pretty seriously at getting a PhD for a while,
Uh-huh.
and
You don't need that, man.
well, you do if you want to go to like a decent school.
Oh.
It's like, so it's kind of the major paths are like go to a major school and get a PhD, and that's a pretty long track,
Yeah.
and like frankly not a ton of money, or you like go have a career, and then at the end of your career, if you want, you go to like a teaching school like BYU Idaho or a community college or something like that. And maybe I could do that. I like the idea of being a professor, and I kind of like the idea of teaching more than I like the idea of doing research.
Yeah.
Like cutting edge research in finance is
Boring.
it can be grueling, and frankly, I just don't have the
Just kidding.
computational like bandwidth and computing power in my brain. I'm just not that smart. So I don't think I could do like productive, interesting, unique, cutting edge research in finance. I don't think I'm smart enough.
I think you're smart enough. It's just I've always seen PhDs. You have to find the most awkward thing to do research on.
Yeah,
To get a
it just gets
PhD.
increasingly niche.
Yeah.
Yep.
It narrows down to like professor I had at Loma Linda. He was finishing up his PhD, and he did like some study about foreign students and how their lifestyle was at Loma Linda.
Oh,
That was like his PhD.
Wow.
Really,
His-
just like who would ever look this up?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Good luck getting that published in a
Yeah.
high quality journal. Sounds like that sounds.
But
like
he had to. I get it because you have to pick something, and there's so
Yeah.
much research on just about everything. It's like, how do you find, like you said, that niche, that
Yeah, finding a
Oh.
unique and interesting question to answer that is answerable
Right.
is not easy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what makes PhD like. I thought about it too. I was like, well, if I go get my master's, not too bad. I was like, well, PhD is like, what do you do? There's so many people trying to get at that. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's tough. It would just seem so like just numbers at that point at a PhD level. This is me just looking at it with a blanket eye. I'd be like, what do you do in financing?
Yeah, unless you go into like a really soft science, like a social science or something like that, maybe you can get away from some of the numbers, but you're certainly not getting away from them in finance.
Yeah.
It's definitely rigorous. And yeah, I don't know, because I talked to a bunch of PhDs when I was thinking about going that direction, and I got what I think was a pretty decent sense of how rigorous the coursework was. And I think I got to a point where I convinced myself I could do it, that it was possible for me,
Yeah.
but that, on average, it takes like 3 to 5 years. And I think it would have taken me like 5 to 8. And I just
Yeah.
wasn't willing to sign up for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I don't think people realize like academia, how much you sacrifice to get to where you want to be. Like,
Yeah, I think I'm much happier where I am now. I've got no regrets on passing that. Like, I feel like my career is has a really cool trajectory. I really like the problems I get to solve, and frankly, I think I make more money now than I would have had I gone the PhD route. Probably.
Yeah.
So I don't mind having passed on
dude.
that. But
It seems like you're doing really well.
yeah.
Every time I talk to you, you're in a new country.
Yeah, I do get to travel a bit, which is pretty fun. I like that a lot.
Dude, yeah, you went to China, dude.
Yeah.
How was that?
I liked it a lot. So I haven't been on the mainland much of all, but I've been to Hong Kong and Macau, which are like their own separate provinces. They kind of have they're carved out to have their own special rules, but they're like obviously butted up with
China. So weird.
Yeah. Then I went to Singapore and Japan and a bunch of places in Europe. And
How was Singapore? You went to Europe too?
Yeah, I've been to Europe more than Asia, actually.
My bad.
Singapore is pretty cool. It's super clean.
Awesome and clean.
Yeah, I guess it's really hard to get a car there, and so there's no traffic.
That's cool.
So and the public transit's really good. I went like running most mornings in like this botanical garden, like the Singapore botanical garden, which is like gorgeous. It's really cool.
Bet, dude.
Yeah. But I didn't realize quite how close it was to the equator. It's like on the equator, so it's just freaking muggy.
Yeah, dude, jungle weather.
Yeah.
That's how I felt when I was in Japan. I was like, oh my God, this sucks, dude. How does anybody live here?
Were you around Tokyo, or where'd you go?
So we started down south. Oh, I forget the name, and I always get it wrong. It starts with an F.
Ooh, you're going to stump me. I don't know that many cities.
Where was the first A-bomb dropped? Hiroshima?
Nagasaki?
Nagasaki? Yeah, we went to... Is it Nagasaki or Hiroshima? I think it's Hiroshima, no?
I can't remember which one was first.
Anyway, we were down where the first one was. Like, maybe 2 or 3 hour plane ride from down there. So we were almost at the end. And we spent a couple of days down there, which was really awesome. I did not know Japan could be that slow. You always see like
lifestyle slow?
Yeah. You always see Tokyo and it's just rush and dude, just people, millions of people, boo, 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 boo. And when you get away from that, it is super, super slow. Everybody is very just on their doing their thing, not bothering nobody. Really cool. So we started down there, then we went up to Kyoto.
Okay.
Kyoto's really awesome. They consider that like the last of the old ways of Japan, I guess.
Okay.
Like all the temples and geishas and things like that. Which was really neat. Food was always good anywhere you stop by. And then we went to where they dropped the second A-bomb. I forget where that was. God, dude, my memory sucks right now.
Nagasaki?
I think it was Nagasaki. And we went and saw the memorial. Talk about like a humbling... I wish that never happened. I wish none of that happened. Obviously, Japan went after Hawaii and did their thing. And it's just so heartbreaking to see, like, when you walk through the memorial, just like, oh, my God, dude. Just innocent people minding their own business, you know?
Yeah.
So, did that. And then from Kyoto, we went up to Shibuya, and then some other town that we were up in Tokyo and things like that. But it was hot, dude.
I bet.
Oh my God, I'm never going back in the summertime. Not even the hintest. But we went because I want to see a baseball game, and they only play during the summer. So we went to the Tokyo Dome. Dude,
do you follow Japanese baseball?
No.
Oh, okay.
I follow, like, I know some teams. Like I just know the Tokyo Giants. I'll be honest, just the Tokyo Giants. And but I've seen like people go to the Tokyo Dome and see baseball games. It's like, dude, you have to go if you love baseball. It's like we're going. So we ended up going. Talk about like the best experience
Really?
ever, dude, of baseball. They don't ever stop chanting. Every player has their own song or their own little chant, and when it's the home team, they're chanting. They have their own little section, and then the away team has their own section, and they got like bands going and shit.
No way.
And they're just going the whole time the batter's up. Next batter up, boom, music. Just
Jeez, what a
chanting.
production.
Dude,
wild.
it was so fun, dude. And they got the girls with the beers, you know? They pump out the beers with their little
Oh,
backpacks.
okay.
And then the food was all fresh. None of that bullshit you get here.
I haven't had a bad meal in Japan.
Never.
Even the gas stations are like,
Oh, dude,
awesome.
the convenience
Yeah.
stores. Oh, dude. Family Mart, 7-Eleven,
7-Eleven.
Larson.
Yeah.
I went to all of them.
Yeah.
I got all the onigiris I could get. Oh, it was such a good time, man. Even if you think Japan is like not for you, just go and just have a good time. Like it felt safe. There's nothing
Yeah.
to worry about. Like the food, you have to. I always worried about that because like I have a sensitive stomach. I always worried about food and
Sure.
didn't. I actually felt sicker when I got back here and started eating
Oh, no way.
American food. So, dude, it was a blast, dude.
That's awesome.
It's such a. I can't wait to go back.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, "You want to go anywhere else?" I was like, "Nah, why? I had such a good time here, and I'm gonna keep. I want to go up north next time. Like, I want to see the snow and everything like that.
Yeah.
Cause
Yeah, they got record snowfall this year, actually.
did you know Japan gets the most snow out of anybody in the whole world?
I've heard that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
isn't
I know
that
the
crazy?
skiing's just supposedly fantastic. I've
Yeah.
never really.
Yeah, I want to go up to Sapporo and things like that, like way up there, and just see like, whoa, dude, look, this is snow. Like I've seen pictures where like, you know, where they cut into the side of the mountain to clear the
Oh,
road,
sure.
and it's just like, I don't know, 15, 20 feet. Just
Yeah,
like,
I saw a thing
what?
that I think they set. I don't know if it's a local or world record, but like they got I think 4 feet in like 11 or 12 hours, which is
Ooh,
bananas.
that's a lot of snow.
Yeah.
Why don't they just hold the Winter Olympics there every year?
Yeah. That'd be funny if they just had it all in the same place.
I mean, it makes sense, right? They get the most snow, and then they don't have to make artificial snow. It
True.
makes sense. Come on. And Japan's awesome. But you've been everywhere. How was Japan for you? I remember when you told me you were over there.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it a lot. I'm mostly in meetings, you know, because I've only traveled there for work, but I was there over a weekend. I think the last time I was there, which was pretty cool. So I climbed Mount Fuji while I was out there, which was a blast.
Damn, good for you, dude.
Which is like the most front country mountain you
Yeah?
can. It's so funny. I mean, I loved it. It was really cool. But like every like half to 3/4 of a mile, there's like a hut that you can like buy batteries and water and Snickers bars and stuff.
Yeah.
On your way up and stuff, which was cool. But
Oh,
I
cool.
stayed in like a little, I don't know, hostel's not quite the right word, but you basically rented like, I don't know, a stall for like 8 hours to sleep. And so I got up there a Friday night and slept for a couple hours and then started going like up the main trail towards the summit like 4 or 5 a.m. and then like got to the summit for sunrise, which is like kind of the classic thing to do at Mount Fuji, which is really awesome because I happened to catch it on a morning where there's just like pillowed clouds in all directions, and so the sunrise like over the pillowed clouds was like so
dare you.
rad. But it was really windy and
I hear
pretty
it.
cold.
Yeah, I hear it's pretty breezy.
Yeah, and I actually like was faster than I was expecting to be, so I got to the summit almost 2 hours early before the sunrise. And then so I found this like one outhouse, and then it was just like me and like 14
cold?
Japanese dudes just shivering in the dark, waiting for the sun
Doing
to come up.
push-ups, trying to stay
we're just-
warm.
and like I didn't speak any Japanese, and like there was a couple of folks from some Euro guys, and like,
Yeah.
we tried to communicate a couple times, and we didn't have any shared languages,
Yeah,
but we were
yeah.
all just like
we get
shivering
it.
together.
We get it,
Yeah.
guys. We know what's up.
So that was pretty fun.
How funny, dude. And then were you able to come down in the same day, or did you have to camp?
Oh, yeah, it's not that big a deal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember
I
how
mean,
many
it's not
minutes.
for you.
And I think I can't remember. I think round trip it's like 12 miles or something like that.
Okay.
So it's like super manageable in a day. I think I was down for lunch. You know.
Damn. You were hauling, dude. Is this you, huh?
Yeah.
Dang. And you made your way all the way out there to Mount Fuji by yourself?
Yeah, I just figured out the buses and stuff.
Damn,
I mean,
good for
you know,
you.
Japan's pretty manageable. You can navigate it in English like a lot easier than most places. The only place that I found like in Asia that was easier is Singapore, actually.
Yeah.
And Hong Kong's pretty doable, but Singapore's like their national language is partly English, so everything is in
Oh,
English.
nice.
A lot. Not everybody speaks English, but like
Sure.
you can navigate virtually anywhere in English in Singapore, which is great. And like it's a little harder in Hong Kong, but still quite easy. It's a little bit harder in Tokyo, but still manageable.
Oh, wow. Dude, I know when we made our way out to Mount Fuji, it was like a day process to get there.
Oh, really? Did you take the bus or how'd
We
you get out
took
there?
trains, we took a tram, and then you took the gondola.
Oh, I didn't do any of that.
Oh.
I just got on a bus.
Oh, you got on a
Yeah, it
bus.
just
Yeah,
drove me all the way there.
we did like this tour thing that took you around Mount Fuji,
Oh, that's cool.
and we took like this old pirate boat across the lake. So it was like, so say Mount Fuji's like right here.
Mhm.
We're like over here in Tokyo where we're staying. So we had to come up, take the train, couple trains, had to get off one, get on another one. Then we got to like Mount Fuji area, this little town with nothing going on. And then so we get off and then we take this tram up the mountain, and then we look over this thing, and then we take a gondola across, and that's where you could see Mount Fuji is like right here.
Uh-huh.
And hopefully you could catch it. But there was clouds and we didn't get to see it.
Oh, no way. What
Yeah.
a bummer.
And and then after you get off the gondola, that's where they have like the black egg. Have you seen that?
I have heard of
Yeah,
these.
we were in that area.
Oh, cool.
We were in that little spot. So it's like this whole like trail thing. You go around and then you come back and do a full circle
Oh,
back to the
nice.
train and head home.
That sounds awesome.
It was a lot of fun, dude. I was like, dude, we're in no man's land.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how big Japan is. So naive of me. Japan is huge, dude. And like Tokyo's is just little piece that everyone wants to stay in.
Mm.
And then the moment you get out of there, dude, it's just jungle.
Right.
And you're just like, dude. And it just goes.
Yeah, it's pretty lush. It's
and
crazy.
mountains, dude,
Yeah.
just like huge, dude. I was like, how come no one wants to live out here? It's convenience, you know?
Yeah.
But you also went to Europe?
Yeah.
What parts of Europe have you been to?
So I've been to London a couple times, and Edinburgh and Stockholm.
Wow, you were in
Frankfurt and Vienna and
Dang, how was Stockholm?
Stockholm was really cool. Last time I was there was during the summer solstice,
Ooh,
which was really cool because it's like
Lucky you.
light till like almost 11 p.m., which was really cool. But yeah, Stockholm was awesome.
Switzerland, right?
no,
Stockholm, Switzerland.
Stockholm,
I sound like a dumb.
Sweden.
Sweden. That's right. I sound like a dumb idiot right now, but I know what you meant.
Yeah.
Dang, that's good for you, dude.
That was fun.
What do you think of London?
I like London. It's a little bit odd for me because I'm not like a posh kind of guy, but
Yeah.
because of my work, I wind up in like the poshest neighborhoods, and so I always feel a little bit out of place there.
Yeah.
But it's a cool city. I like it. It's super international,
Yeah.
you know, which I like a lot, and there's a lot of cool history, obviously, and it's cool to like walk by Big Ben and you know all the stuff I see in all these movies. So that's always kind of fun.
Yeah. Dude, my dad loves London.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's where he did his mission.
Oh, that's right.
I was like, why don't you just move there? He loves that place, dude.
Freaking expensive.
Yeah, that's why he's like, dude, the economy over there is trash.
Yeah.
They struggle with living and things like that over there. So I was like, but you're over there all the time.
Yeah, your dad does a lot of cruises, doesn't he? It's like
Dude,
a cruise hound. Or
My
some
dad
term for
is my dad should have been a climber.
Really?
You know, he is such a free soul. It's so unique. The more and more I look at him, I'm like, dude, this guy, you could put him anywhere. He's just like, whatever.
Hmm.
Okay, I guess we're
That's a
doing that.
valuable trait to have.
I never see him really worry.
Hmm.
And it irritates me. I was like, I want that. I'm the opposite. Worry about everything. He like for instance, when he was really young, he was in Hawaii, I think for like a year, maybe 6 months or something like that, just picking pineapple.
Oh, cool.
And he did that for a while. And then he came back home and kind of bounced around and went on his mission and then lived in London and then came home and always traveled. He's traveled
really?
the world, man. And then they lived in New York a couple years ago doing their mission thing.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, now they're in Texas doing their mission thing.
Oh, I didn't know they're on another mission?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, I had
they
no
went back
idea.
to back.
Dang, that's
Yeah.
hardcore.
I was like, you guys must really like this, huh? It makes them happy. They seem very happy doing it.
That's cool.
So, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But he's like that.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, you don't like being at your home? Your really nice home in St. George? It's whatever. So
Yeah, I wound up not doing very much travel like for myself. As far as like on an airplane. I'll drive a lot of places to do stuff, but like to get on a plane is like a pretty high hurdle for me. I think like the first time in a long time I did some personal travels. I went to Indianapolis a little while ago, and
okay.
before that I went to I went to Mexico a couple years ago. But I don't do a lot of personal travel.
Oh no,
Yeah, not
just
a ton.
not into it.
Well, I like it, but I do enough like travel for work that I kind of like whatever itch that is. I kind of scratch it.
Yeah,
You know, on on Utah taxpayer dime, basically.
there you go. Do they at least put you in first class when you fly?
No,
Oh,
no,
boo.
no, nothing like that. In
That
fact, a lot
sucks.
of times I'll go to conferences in like fancy hotels, and they're
Uh-huh.
like, "Oh, you get a discounted rate to stay at this fancy hotel," and like our compliance and like finance group will be like, "Oh, you're not staying there. You're staying at this like
Oh no,
motel
no.
down the road.
We got
and
you a
can
trailer."
walk- You can walk to the conference." So I mean, it's a silly thing to like. Yeah, I'm certainly not complaining, but it is funny. Like,
Yeah, dude, man, I don't know how you couldn't. This can sound so like, I don't know, pompous of me, but like not going first class, trying international, it's got to be tough.
oh, I don't know any better, but like when I look at the tickets, I'm way too stingy to be like to even consider it. It doesn't even cross my mind. Like I could pay to upgrade myself,
Right?
but I would never do that.
No, you
no
should,
way.
dude.
Oh no,
It's so
like
worth it.
like when I look at tickets, like when I look at the flights when I'm going to Singapore or Tokyo or something, it's like $2,000 or something like
Yeah.
that. And it's like absolutely not. Like
That's
there's
pretty good, actually.
So many things I would rather do with $2,000 than be marginally more comfortable for a few hours.
Oh, so
I don't
I went first class when I went to Japan,
Yeah,
dude.
pretty awesome.
So we went through this little like a sister of Japan Air. It's called Zip Air.
Okay.
Really good. It's like bare bones. So the first class, they're not bringing you like lobster tail or anything like that. You just get a seat that folds down. You're in your own little section. You can, and I tell you, if I didn't do that, man, I would have been furious.
Oh really?
Because being able just to lay flat is a game changer.
Yeah, I cannot sleep on airplanes. So
Yeah.
I actually just like I stay awake and I work and I like I come home from big trips with like 0 emails and like
There you
a
go.
ton of stuff. Like I've read a bunch of stuff I've been meaning to read, and like my time on an airplane is like wildly productive because
Good
I
for you.
can't get distracted. There's
Yeah,
nothing
there's
else
nothing
to
to do. Yeah.
And so like I actually like don't mind at all like just
Nice.
working on an airplane because I can't sleep anyway. Maybe if I could I've never been in a seat where I could lay down. So maybe I could if I was laying down.
You
But
should try it next time, dude.
I don't know. I'm still in a place where like $2,000, man.
I know.
I got some other stuff I want to do. With
I
that
get
money.
it. I get it. It's a lot for people, but I had to save up for it too. It wasn't just like I got $2,000 sitting around.
Sure.
I was like, dude, I'm doing it. I'm not. And I think of the flight home. I was like, 2 weeks. I want to be as comfortable as I can coming back home.
Sure.
I don't want to be irritated. I can't sit in that little box not in first class, like sitting like this for 10 hours. I can't do my late. I would be so upset. So I told my friend, my coworker, he's going to Bosnia. He's Bosnian.
Oh, cool.
I was like, dude, you gotta go first class. Stop buying the cheap shit. He's like, oh well, it's so cheap. I was like, stop it, dude. I'm telling you, that flight's even worse. I think it's like 15 something hours.
That sounds brutal.
And last time he came back, his legs were swelled up
No
for
way.
like 2 weeks. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, dude, just spend the money, man. You make good money, spend it. And so he just bought his plane ticket. He's like, dude, I bought first class. It's like you're never gonna not do it from here on out, dude. At least international. I don't do it in the States.
I guess maybe
I'll
that's
fly.
why I'm afraid to do it, because I don't want to have to go back. Yeah.
You won't want to.
Yeah, and I will. So
Yeah.
I will have to. So I don't. Ignorance is bliss, I suppose.
Yeah, I know. In the States though, I'll go as cheap as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really care for it going around here, but internationally, I mean, dude, you're already going so far. Might as well just make the best of it and just spend the money and enjoy. You know, you can do it.
Maybe someday. Maybe someday. I don't know.
Someday. Shit. Well, man, this has been a good conversation.
Yeah, it's a blast.
Dude, thanks for coming over. Sorry we got a late start,
No, it's all good.
but it's good seeing you, man. Dude, I've lived here for 5 years, and this is the second time.
It's about time I get over here.
Well, you're a busy guy, dude. You're a dad, and you got kids and work, and
Sure.
I get it. It's easy for me to pop over anywhere, but for you, I get it, man. And work's keeping you busy, which is good.
Yeah.
You're traveling the world. I'm jealous of that. I wish I could do that, but I don't have
Even
that
if
kind
it's
of career.
coach.
Even if it's coach. It's not like that, man. I don't mean it like that. I mean it respectfully.
It's all good. I know.
Dude, just do it. I'll help you pay.
No
if you're
way.
gonna
No
do
way. I
it.
could never.
Because you'd be like, oh, I should have done this earlier in life, man. I don't know how you sit like that for 10 hours.
Yeah, just hunched over my laptop.
Dude, I could barely do it for 2. I'm already just irritated at that point. So, but hey, man, it was good seeing you. Come over more.
Yeah, I will, for sure.
Dude, anytime you want to come over, we could do this or we can go do something else.
Yeah.
But
I'll take you climbing.
take me on the weakest climb you got.
Yeah, there's plenty of those.
Yeah.
They make it fun.
I don't want to be thousands of feet in the air. A couple hundred's okay.
Yeah, even just 20 or 30 is.
Oh, yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, that'd be
Actually,
fine.
20 and 30, yeah. With a helmet
Yeah.
and a full-on, like, bubble suit in case I fall, dude. That stuff scares me. I don't know. Not scares me that being up there, I don't have a problem with heights. It's a problem of, like, are we going to fall? You know?
Sure.
Like, that stuff scares me.
Yeah. I'll make it safe. You don't have to worry about it.
As long as I get to wear the little shoes, too.
Oh, yeah?
The pointy-ass shoes?
Oh, yeah.
What are those called?
Just climbing shoes?
Climbing shoes?
Yeah.
Sweet. All right, brother. Until next time,
Thanks, man.
be well.